All right. Good evening, everybody. I am Chris Marshall. It's shop night, and you know what that means? I am joined by my co-host, the 2023 FRRC Super Late Model Rookie of the Year, your friend and mine, the big LG, Lou Goss. Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's shop night, and
You know what that means?
That's right. I gotta let you know that this episode is brought to you by one of our great sponsors, HP Concrete Coating.
Yeah, they're awesome. Herb, who owns it and operates the business, super great guy. Did the flooring in here. We've gone ahead and messed it up over the last few months, but it's great. It really cleaned it up. He's actually going to do the floor in the other building that we have, and just couldn't be more impressed with him and his guys. He's got a second crew now, so they're working hard, and that guy gets after it. So please get a hold of them if you need anything coated in your, in your garage, in your shop. Obviously on this floor, we don't have like the speckles in it or any color designs, but he does all of that stuff. We chose not to because, we want our floor just to be plain, so when we drop stuff, we can see it. That's kind of our take on it. But he does all the decorative stuff. He's got tons of examples doing it in stores, in shops, in warehouses. I think he did a fire station a while back.
That's
so
what I heard.
He can do it anywhere.
And these floors are so clean, you could almost eat off of them.
Yeah, it looks like we're trying to.
I did earlier.
Yeah.
But Lou, with everything said, we're rolling in. Race number 4, and I got to give you a quick update. I was on the internet earlier, and I saw we are 15th in points.
Yeah.
So rolling in, feeling pretty good. Now we're going to recap last week's race. And as I'll let you guys know, we went to Wisconsin International Raceway, and the race broke out. So Lou, going in, recapping everything, we'll start with one of my favorites. We're going to start with practice.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we had super high hopes for last week because the week before we ran our personal best. We thought we were onto something with the setup and the tires. And so we jump into practice right away, and the first 3 weeks we've used the same practice tires every week, set them at the same pressures, and the car is just awesome. I just love that practice set of tires. There's about 250 laps on those tires, and they're great. And so from that point on, still really excited. We bolt our race set on, and we go into qualifying, and it's just Chad in the front and doing all sorts of weird stuff, and we're guessing again.
Yes, and I'll be honest, when I saw the lap time, I went, ooh, he's not going to be too pleased with that.
Yeah.
And so rolling from practice, from qualifying, we go to the heat race.
Yep.
And kind of set the stage for everybody for the heat race.
Yep. Kind of more of the same. I mean, we were able to get by one car early. We kind of just jumped on them quick, but couldn't hold it. Couldn't keep the car down, wouldn't turn. Then you got 0 corner speed, and then you have 0 exit speed too. And so then you're just not making lap time. And it was getting pretty frustrating. Yeah, it certainly was.
Yeah, and we did our best to kind of clear out of your way, kidding. But, knowing what was happening, we kind of roll into the feature. We made some adjustments, kind of hit on some stuff that we thought would work. Yeah. Kind of walk them through some of the things that you kind of found out going into the feature that you were like, hey, let's try this, let's do this, let's see if this might work.
Yeah, so we got the couple tires we got last week, because like I mentioned in previous episodes, for weekly super late model races at WIR, we get 2 new tires each week. And we try and get them the same batch code numbers and same chalk sizes, and then even measure them flat to make sure that's just another check that we're getting the same size tires, right? Well, this past week where we get our tires from, no fault of theirs, they didn't have any tires in our batch code, and then one of our tires, our right front, ended up was chalked mark 1/4 inch bigger than we'd had been purchasing. And so our tire sizes were all over the place. We had way too much stagger in the rear, and it turns out we had a ton in the front, and I think the car was just mixed up. So we tried to at least get the rear stagger close for the feature, which we were right about 3 inches, and normally that makes the car turn really well. And it did not turn at all. I think I might have even shared a couple pictures on our Facebook page with the front brake rotors glowing. I feel like I'm a type that doesn't use a ton of brake, and so to see that they were glowing meant that the car was not working quite right. You know, the entire feature went 35 laps green, which I love.
Yeah.
I love when we do that. That's good racing, right? You don't need cautions, you don't need wrecking cars, but that definitely doesn't give your brakes time to cool off a little bit, right? So it was just, you know, I couldn't put any more wheel in the car to try and get it to turn, and that was pretty frustrating. Now,
it was a very not so good night. I know there were some tempers that flared kind of after, you know, the race. And, you know, would you be able to kind of elaborate on that? Because I know we talked about that off camera, but, you know.
And thanks, Chris. Yeah. And I want to mention this in the best light of all parties involved, right? Because it ended up being just, you know, a great conversation and chat with everybody. So Sawyer Effertz, right? Former past champion, great race car driver.
Great human being.
Yep. And he was lapping us, mind you, in the feature. And he, you know, displayed his displeasure as he was going by us on the outside. And I was a little confused on what I was seeing, and I wasn't sure if it was for us. So after the race, I, you know, went and found him at his trailer, and you know, he mentioned what he thought the problem was, and we talked through it and shook on it, and it was great. And I went and talked to Chris, and you know, Chris wants to make sure, we both want to make sure that we're earning the respect of everybody.
That's right.
And let it be known that we're not trying to cause any problems on the track. So Chris went over and had another great conversation with Sawyer. So it was great, you know, and the whole, I just love the super late model group, especially at WIR. It's been the same group for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no reason for things to get too haywire. Yeah, we're all intense for sure. Like Chris mentioned, I was not in a great mood myself throughout the day, right? And then, you know, Sawyer sounded like he was having some struggles with his car, so he was not happy, right? So some of that stuff just doesn't add up to, you know, waving and thumbs up all the time. But it was great. It really was.
And that's what I kind of found out, you know, when I went over and spoke. You know, a lot of stuff happens in the heat of the moment. Yeah. And you know, under that helmet, it gets hot under there. Yeah. And, you know, probably when you take it off, have the little chance to kind of cool off, you know, stuff was smooth over. So I let them know, hey, look, we're not trying to, you know, influence the race or anything or get in your way, you know, because I thought I gave him enough room and things like that. You know, I let him know, hey, look, you know, I'm the spotter on this car, and I make sure that we're out of the way. And it's not something that, like, we didn't want to be in that position where...
No, we don't want to be in that position.
Where cars are,
maybe that should be our goal, is not be in that position.
And putting us a lap down, because it does get nerve-wracking. Yeah. It does get nerve-wracking. So it gets to that point where I'm letting him know, hey, the leader's there. Even if you ask him, I kind of was letting them know where they were way before. But it was just one of those where it's like, hey, he's coming up on you. Get to the inside. And I'm going to let you know. So once them lead cars started going by him, you got cars outside, I'll let you know when it's clear. So I wanted to go over there and make sure that, you know, we let them know. Because the last thing I want to have is enemies. Because there's another guy in a higher up series that's on, we'll say, Amazon Prime. And he's going to find out what that's like to have enemies when them guys are wrecking him when he's going towards the front.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean...
But we don't have to worry about that.
That's right. That's a Carson of a problem for another time. So... Now, there's another thing that happened. There was besides the tempers and things like that, there was also something good that happened. An update on Timmers. Yeah,
Will Timmers, right, which we talked about in last week's episode, had a terrible accident in the pro late models. And, initial reports was that he was going to be okay. He was pretty well banged up. And he was actually at the track last week as a spectator.
Yes.
But great to see that big smile on his face. Didn't get a chance to talk to him. I was kind of hoping he would come down in the pits afterwards. And maybe he did. We just didn't see him in passing. But, great to see. And just really happy to see when people make it out of those things all right. You know, that was our PSA last week a little bit, was never assume a wreck in one of these things is mundane. You know?
No.
Especially one like that.
And, and to see him smiling and at the track, and, and Mark Allen does a great job of letting you know what's going on at the track. So make sure if you don't follow Mark Allen or Lure Sports, make sure to go and follow them. But it was great to see him back at the track. Now, Lou, we're going to shift gears a little bit because this week is a very special race.
Yep.
It is the Red Race.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are not familiar with the Red Race.
Right.
How important is that, or how big of an event is the Red Race?
Well, it's huge. It's one of those classic events that, names like Trickle and Kawicki have won, in past years. And extended features, increased payout. Travelers are going to come and race with us. And just looking forward to it. It used to be back in the day, it was run on Saturdays, right? Our normal weekly show is Thursdays, and this was in addition to the weekly show that was run on Saturdays. And it's probably almost 20 years ago now they moved it to just mixed it in with the Thursday shows, which is fine. That's great. But yeah, just really looking forward to it.
I am too. It's good. I mean, I know last year we did help out, Jordan when they were doing the races and stuff. So this will be kind of cool for us to kind of go and partake in this and do all the necessary things to make the show, because it's a huge format that they have for this show. Mm-hmm. And I believe we're the last to go on, or second to last to go on?
Yeah, they have the nightly schedule switched up a little bit. I think we're second to last. I don't think we're the last, and I forget what the reasoning is. Right? They talked about it over the winter, but either way, I think part of it is because if the show runs late, we'll at least make sure to get the super lates in. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it.
And does that kind of throw you guys off going out there?
No, I'm good with it. I love racing at night and all that sort of stuff, but I got no problem with a race ending a little bit earlier in the evening too.
Yeah, because I know it kind of has a later start, right, for you guys?
Could be, yeah.
I didn't know if that ever throws you off, with the races having a later start versus what you're used to with the.
Sometimes, it's a 50 lap feature instead of a 35, so it's probably not starting. It's starting about the same time, probably. Okay. Yeah.
So just game plan for about 15 extra more laps, and maybe a few more turns, a few more of this, a few more of that.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. So going into everything, how are you set for everything? How are you?
Well, this week we're once again focused on our tires. I know that's everyone's favorite 4-letter word. Something like that. Yeah, tires. Tire. Okay. Either way, so we've got all of our tires laid out in the other shop. And we're charging them all up and measuring them all. And, fortunately, we got this car. This is Andy Mondy's 2017 championship car.
Didn't he message you the other day?
Yep, so just had a great chat with him. Appreciate him, messaging me out of the blue. When we got this car, it came with the notes, his notes from several seasons with the car. And granted, we've had a different clip put on the front, but same chassis builder and the whole thing. So reviewing a lot of those notes and really focusing again on our tire game and see where we messed up. So, of course, excited once again, right? We every week it kind of has those emotions where you're like, we got it figured out, and then
there's peaks and valleys.
Yeah, it kind of does this throughout the night, but by the time we leave there, generally we're excited again. I wanted to mention that too. Like, by the end of the night, Lou's cooled off a little bit. A couple beers are had, and we have tons of people that come over by us, little kids signing flags and hanging out, and everyone's in a great mood. And then it's on to the next week. So all the other BS goes under the bridge.
Now, I kind of wanted to allude to something, because for someone that doesn't follow, let's say, what we're doing, they're going to probably wonder and say, Chris, why do you guys have notes with the car? Can't you just get in the car and just go off of what he does? How important is that to have the notes that Andy had from this car?
Well, huge. And it's huge that we had notes of our own, right? Mm-hmm. In years past, we haven't always been real great about doing that, taking those notes down. But we have really good notes, especially from this year and even into last year too. So when I have discussions with other drivers or look past at previous notes, like from this car, from some other driver, we can compare and see where we are off. And looking at those notes, I think we're onto something. You know, I don't want to give it away too much because I want to confirm what we're seeing is right. So we'll go through this week and then maybe we'll talk next week about it. But if you don't have any notes, right, you can't say anything for certain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's tires, chassis changes, engine, right? They have, when Andy had this car, they were tracking laps on the engine. I mean, we about know what we got on ours, and we get it kind of freshened no matter what, basically, at the end of the year, but they keep track of all that stuff.
That's really neat too, because I think I saw when you sent it to the group chat and you said, hey, this is where we're at, and this is where his notes were, and this is where ours were. And I remember thinking to myself going, wow, could have looked at that sooner.
Yeah.
Kidding. But, you know, it's a lot of like trial and error things here with racing. So that, you know, if this was easy, a lot of people would be doing it. So there's going to be a lot of nights where you're going to, like this last race, where you're going to come back and go, God, why am I here? You know, and then there's going to be other nights where you're going to be like, oh, man, this feels amazing. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that with race number 4, the red race coming up. And if you're not doing anything, come down to Wisconsin International Raceway. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of really good support classes that are going to be there. I believe the sport trucks there this week.
Well, yeah, they should be. They run every week or every other week.
I'm going to assume that the sport trucks are going to be there. You're going to see the quarter-mile late models there. And they have a really good show. There's a lot of really good drivers in that class along with the sport trucks. Yeah. Then there's the other cars that come out there, and I do apologize if I am forgetting, but there are some other classes that come out there, like the 4-cylinder, the Bs.
Super stock, that's the one. Yeah. And then we got of course the figure eights.
That's right, the figure eights. So, Lou, do you have anything for anybody, or?
Well, yeah, I got one more thing, Chris. We're supposed to mention a wardrobe
malfunction. That's right. That is right. Hashtag Ashley's leg. Hashtag Miller time.
Miller time. That's
right.
it. There's probably a trademark in there somewhere, but
you know.
Yeah. So our neighbors at the track, right? The Thiels, right?
That's
Jordan,
right.
The real deal Thiel, right? His spotter, Andy Miller. Great dude. They're all great over there. His spotter, Andy. His wife, Ashley, she's always hanging around, always brings a lot of joy and smiles to the track. Well, she had how did that go?
So there was a string that was loose on her
Just
pants.
happened to be. I thought she said it got caught on your bibs or something.
I don't remember. But I just remember it was like this. Andy and I were eating food, you know, that's one of the things that I like to do when I'm at the track is eat food, you know, and he was like, hey, check these chips out. I was like, oh, these are really good, brother. I'm going to have some more of these, brother. And then his wife said, oh my gosh, can you cut these off?
Yeah.
Can you cut this off? And he's like eating. I'm like, well, all right. Is it okay? I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut this off here. But I didn't want to cut her leg, so that's why when she came over there, it was like, hey, you know, it looked the way it did, you know. But you were able to, you know, assist me with that because that's what good friends do. And you were able to cut off the rest of that string.
Yeah, but, you know, of all the high-pressure situations of that night, that ranked pretty high up there.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
we're not seamstresses, but if you need us to cut a string, we can find a wire cutters in the trailer.
Yeah, of all the things, you know. Yeah. I thought we carried scissors and stuff. But...
There probably is one in there, but I found the wire cutters, and that did the job.
Yeah, so if there's ever any of that happens... We'll make sure.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Come on down. We got wire cutters.
I got to fix mine, I guess. So.
Just leave it. I think that's the style. That's how the kids are wearing it now.
So.
Well, guys, this is the end for us here. So we are going to end it here. It's shop night, and you know what that means. I'm Chris Marshall. This is the Big LG, Lou Goss, and we'll see you guys at Wisconsin International Raceway. And that's what I call a winning combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.